You reach a point where your momentum just stops. Revenue plateaus, cash flow tightens, or an operational drag suddenly demands so much attention that external help goes from a luxury to an absolute necessity. The standard industry reaction to this stall is predictable. You bring in a consulting firm, they set up camp for 6 weeks, and they run a massive top-to-bottom strategic overhaul of your entire operation. The flaw in that reaction is the assumption of ignorance. Often, you don't need a 6-week deep dive to figure out what's wrong. You already know exactly which part is broken. Paying to audit the entire organization wastes capital when the target is already clear. To avoid that waste, we have to separate business problems into 2 distinct categories: isolated bottlenecks and systemic company-wide issues. This quadrant chart plots out the founder's dilemma. Across the bottom, we have problem awareness. Do you know what's broken, or are you just feeling the symptoms? Up the side, we have problem scope. Is it an isolated system, or is it systemic? Take a founder suffering from tangled company-wide pain that they can't quite pinpoint. Their symptoms map to the top right. They genuinely need the forensic look at everything. Compare that to a founder who has a highly specific, identified bottleneck. They know exactly where the leak is. They just lack the operational bandwidth to fix it themselves. They land in the bottom left. Applying a systemic 6-week audit to an isolated known problem is a massive misallocation of both time and capital. The alternative to the traditional deep dive is the focused fix. It is a 2-week consulting sprint designed to lock in on one single operational bottleneck and actually solve it. We are talking about highly specific targets: a pricing strategy needing restructuring, a marketing funnel refusing to convert, a cash flow model leaking capital. Whatever the specific pain point is, that becomes the sole objective. A comprehensive audit operates like a Swiss Army knife. It is equipped for any unknown scenario you might encounter. The focused fix is a scalpel. Because it operates as a scalpel, it bypasses broad operational discovery. It is built exclusively for execution. You find the target, you make the cut, and you repair the tissue. This model is highly effective, provided you use it correctly. It requires a founder with high self-awareness and precise timing to deploy it exactly when and where it's needed. Weighing a 2-week sprint against traditional consulting requires looking at a 3-part framework: the required input, the expected outcome, and the structural trade-off. First, the founder must accurately pre-identify the exact pain point. The outcome is pure speed, skipping costly discovery to move immediately into data analysis. But the trade-off is dangerous. Misdiagnosing the root cause means you flawlessly solve the completely wrong issue. The sprint explicitly trades the safety of a systemic third-party diagnostic for raw speed. That shifts the entire burden of accuracy directly onto your shoulders. The second evaluation metric centers on the unyielding timeline that governs the entire process. Next, the input is a strict 14-day constraint. This hard clock forces hyperfocus and actively prevents scope creep, generating answers fast. But the trade-off is tunnel vision. The sprint will completely ignore secondary issues discovered outside the immediate target zone. That 14-day clock operates as an intentional blinder. To use this product effectively, you must be comfortable letting peripheral fires burn while you fix the core issue. The final metric is the tangible reality of what actually gets handed to the client at the end of the 2 weeks. The final input demands a concrete working document. The outcome is a Monday morning blueprint featuring specific action steps, timelines, and projected dollar amounts. But the trade-off is pure execution. You receive an action plan with 0 ongoing implementation assistance. You save significant capital by avoiding ongoing consultant retainers, but in exchange, it demands high internal operational discipline from your team to actually execute the blueprint once the consultants leave. If you are debating whether your current situation calls for a sprint or a deep dive, there is a simple investment check to run. This decision tree flowchart maps out exactly who this is for. The very first node asks the qualifying question: can you name your exact bottleneck in 3 seconds? If you hesitate, or if the problem feels too big and tangled to define clearly, you stop here. That is a clear signal that your business requires a full strategic deep dive. If you answered immediately, you move to the second node. Is this known bottleneck an isolated operational system? If the answer is yes, you have the green light. The problem is isolated, you know exactly what it is, and a 2-week sprint is the correct capital-efficient choice. Micro-consulting lives and dies on founder self-awareness. Without it, the speed of the sprint becomes a liability rather than an asset. For the budget-conscious optimizer, the appeal here is clear. The investment is capped, the timeline is short, and the ROI is fast, assuming you know your target. For the overwhelmed operator, this model minimizes disruption. It takes a known problem off your mental to-do list, processes it in the background, and returns a specific plan of action. But for the lost generalist, the founder facing generalized stagnation without a clear culprit, this will not save you. A surgical strike cannot fix a culture of broad, unidentified operational drag. Any firm can hand you a list of suggestions, but recommendations without specific dollar amounts and timelines attached are just opinions. If there is one part of your business that is costing you money right now, and you know exactly what it is, stop paying for broad analysis. Bring in the scalpel, set the clock, and start paying for rapid action.